can see.
Well, hey everyone! Happy Veterans Day out there to all our veterans. And hi, Doctor. Did I almost say Valentine's Day?
You almost did, but hey, we're here to love on our veterans who served our beloved country. So there should be lots of love today.
Yes.
So we could call it Happy Valentine's Veterans Day. Come on now.
That's right. There we go.
Yeah.
Hey everyone! I want you all to meet Dr. Damon Friedman. He's one of the leading experts, actually, in helping prevent veteran suicide, and I'm honored to have him on the show. And first, I owe the doctor an apology for not getting the link to him sooner. As a lot of people know, it has been hectic around here for about the past week. Also, let everybody know the chat is open, so if you're watching live, you can ask questions throughout the episode. And so how you doing, Doctor?
I'm doing awesome. Today's a great day.
Yes.
It's a great day to be an American. It's a great day to live in this amazing country. It's a great day to enjoy the freedoms, as I mentioned already, that our great men and women have served for this great nation. It's a good day. It's Veterans Day.
Yes. And yeah, people have been reminding me all morning. My nephew just texted me from school. He's in class and he texts me to wish me a happy Veterans Day. And yeah, get to studying, kid.
That's right.
So first, you're more than just a doctor. You're also a retired lieutenant colonel, are you not?
Yeah, that's right. Served 20 years in the military. Started first in the Marine Corps. 5.5 years from 2000 to 2005. Part of the invasion. Task Force Tarawa was the lead element going through Safwan into Iraq. Then I came back, joined a unit called 2nd Force Recon over in Camp Lejeune. Was the Pathfinder team leader there. Then crossed over into the Air Force Special Warfare. That's the elite unit they had. They had this incredible recruiting engagement of recon Marines, Rangers, SEALs, Green Berets, things like that. And what we do is, as a special warfare, I'm specifically a special tactics officer. I'm an officer of combat controllers, which they control the air power from the sky. There's a very unique kind of certification qualification called JTAC, Joint Terminal Attack Controller. And that's controlling all the massive air power onto the ground with extreme and like profound precision. And so that's what I did for the last 15 years of my career. Honored. I was a squadron commander in special operations. I was a mission commander for Afghanistan, owning the air to ground, and also and kind of retired out at MacDill right here under Special Operations Command. I was the future operations officer for the Middle East. It's SOC. Don't need to get into all the acronyms, but my military friends out there, especially in soft units, they understand. I think so. I've had a wonderful career. My wife actually just finished off my paddle. Might as well just show it off.
Yeah, there you go.
Shout out. I have a couple back here, but this one is a conglomeration of my entire career. You start off right here with the Eagle Globe and Anchor. I just started off right there. Check it out, and then these are all of my qualifications here. You can see
Nice.
My rank all the way down for all of you military people. You could see, and then of course my cross rifles as I was a Marine. Hoorah! Okay, come on now.
There you go.
Really excited. I just got it, and you were the first podcast that we were able to kind of show it off. But it's a shout out to my teammate Dana who put it together for me.
All right. Yeah, I was Air Force myself.
Nice.
I enlisted right out of high school. I mean,
That's
I
cool.
gave myself a couple of days of summer vacation. That was it. But I had 3 brothers that were in the Air Force as well.
So. Oh, wow. That's good. So you got an Air Force family. Everybody's aiming high, right?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
That's cool.
Fly, fight, win.
That's right. You know it.
And then went to Desert Storm, came back.
Nice.
Found out I was sick. So fought for the PACT Act and
got
law passed here in Ohio. designating September 22nd as Veteran Suicide Awareness and Prevention Day.
Yep.
And I've been getting some emails. Obviously, some people have been missing some episodes. They're asking why I chose September 22nd.
Okay.
September is National Suicide Awareness and Prevention Month.
Okay.
All right. 22 veterans a day take their own lives, even though we know it's greater than that now. But
we know it for sure.
Is in our community so much that it had to be September 22nd. So that law passed unanimously down in Columbus, Ohio, and we're trying to make it a national day. But that's a very slow process to get it recognized nationally. But my Congresswoman Amelia Sykes is helping me work on that, along with Congressman Dave Joyce, Congressman Lansford.
Nice.
We did have Senator Sherrod Brown helping, but unfortunately he lost his election.
Oh, so man, that's terrible.
He's going to keep helping up until he's no longer in office.
Right.
Hopefully the new guy join in on this as well. We pretty much got everybody in Ohio in on it, and Gillibrand from New York, Schumer, Riaz from California, Tanaka from California. They're all in on it too. So, but they say it takes forever unless the president signs an executive order, and unfortunately, we couldn't get it done this administration. So hopefully, the next one will help us get it done.
Yeah, I agree.
But after you got out of the military, you started a nonprofit yourself.
That's right. But I want to just take this moment and say that's pretty awesome, the work that you're doing for September 22nd. Many people don't know that there is an epidemic within our veteran community, and over 20 veterans take their lives every single day. Friends, this is the truth. By the time we're done with this podcast, one veteran will take their life, unfortunately. We're very passionate about it. Obviously, Tim is very passionate about it. I'm very passionate about it, which is going to be a perfect segue for why we're doing SOF Missions. But I think that'd be incredible to be able to do that, especially in the month of September. We know that September 11th, post 9/11, kicked off the longest war in history, the War on Terror. And for me personally, that's where I served. I literally served, 19 of those years, 19 and a half of those years, 2001, right? And then I got out in 2020. Right in the midst of the pandemic. Oh my goodness. You don't even want to get into that. Yeah. It's like, talk about.
That's a whole different episode.
That's a whole different animal right there, but perfect segue with our organization. So for me, multiple deployments, numerous deployments to Iraq and Afghanistan. I have a lot of deployments. I just count and discuss the 4 combat deployments, and, will really put a toll on my life. And for me, I've woken up in the hospital 3 different times for my service. And the 3rd time I was inpatient for 3 months, 9 months outpatient. And I was trying to recover from mild traumatic brain injury, not just PTSD or chronic pain or insomnia. These are all some very significant issues that a lot of our veterans are dealing with. So I have a history of dealing with these injuries. I also have a history of hiding them because I never wanted to be grounded. In special operations, we jump out of planes. We're divers. I don't ever want to be grounded where I can't do my job. And in my career, I've been super blessed. I'm one of those officers that had an opportunity to still kind of roll with some senior enlisted or very advanced enlisted that kind of do their jobs as well, kind of being a JTAC coming out of the Special Tactics Operations Center. But anyway, with that being said, in 2010 I came back and I was going through some serious issues, dealing with some serious demons, and there were some really good people that kind of surrounded me, and they helped me get help. And the help that I got was not in the Department of Defense. It was not within my chain of command. I didn't trust my chain of command. In fact, they really proved to me at that time that product was more important than person. And so privately, I got a lot of medical care, psychologists, social workers, physical therapy, like, cognitive therapists, just this incredible thing. And then also spiritual. I can't tell you how important the spiritual, journey was, because, I've come to understand that there's two most important days of our lives. That's the day that we're born and the day that you find out why. And so without purpose, then what do you really have? We're just human beings, kind of, like little twig in the river, and we're just floating along the way. I want to fulfill my purpose. I want my life to be meaningful. So ultimately, after about a year and a half, I got some really great help, and then I started feeling better again, psychologically, physically, socially, spiritually, and I was like, whoa. And then I get redeployed to Afghanistan, in the belly of Afghanistan, and Bagram, Afghanistan, and while I was there in combat in 2011, I called up my wife and I was like, I think we should run a nonprofit. We should start one, and we should be able to take care of our veterans. And fast forward, that's what we have today. So yes. SOF Missions was born literally, in the midst of war. So SOF Missions to fight, combat the suicide epidemic through holistic care.
Yeah, it was quite a journey on how I started my nonprofit as well. We going back and forth to Washington, D.C., and all of a sudden the Senate voted down the PACT Act. So we decided to sleep on the steps of the Capitol building to bring awareness.
Nice.
And that brought in all kinds of organizations that weren't there before, but they were coming. That was bringing in a lot of veterans as well that didn't know they had a voice until they heard about us on the news. And so they were coming in from all over the country, and there were two that stuck out. One was a Vietnam veteran, and he had lost an arm and a leg, and his leg prosthesis was broken. So he's hobbling around on one crutch.
Oh, wow.
And I mean, this is like a 75-year-old man hobbling around and having a hard time getting around. And he went to one of the major nonprofits that were there and asked them for help. And they says, we're sorry, we only help post 9/11 veterans only.
Yeah.
I get that. You can't help everybody. But they handed him a pamphlet saying, become a member, help us help the veterans that we do help. Not once did they offer him information on where he could go to get the help that he needed.
Yeah.
So a bunch of us got together. We started making some phone calls, found a local prosthesis company there in D.C. They said, yeah, send him over. We'll help him out.
Okay.
So we put him in an Uber, got him over there. He came back about 5 hours later, had his leg was fixed, and they said they were going to make him a new one. Awesome. While we're talking to him, another veteran went to a different nonprofit saying, hey, I need some help with my claims with the VA. They're going nowhere. And that nonprofit too says, I'm sorry, we only help post 9/11 veterans only.
Yeah.
Here's a pamphlet, become a member. Matter of fact, if you pay this much, you can run your own office for us in your town. And he's like, what, franchise? No, I need help. So we found out where this guy was from, and we got a hold of his state's veterans services. Well, in Ohio, they call it Veterans Service Commission. I'm not sure. The guy was from Pennsylvania. I forget what they call it in Pennsylvania. But we were able to get a hold of them, and we got him on the phone with them. Then we were able to get him online talking with them, and they were able to help him with his claims. And he was a Vietnam vet himself, and he was not aware that the PACT Act was going to be able to help him.
Okay.
And he found out there were other things that he could have filed for and didn't know he could. So we were able to help him out as well. But after they passed the bill, and I come back home, and my wife heard what happened, and she's like, that's not right. What can we do to stop that? And we talked it over, and that's when she says, there needs to be a strong network. So if a nonprofit doesn't have the resources or the information to help a veteran out, they can at least send to one organization who can then have all that information the veteran
Yeah.
needs.
That's
And
great.
that's how we started ours. Um, and it seems to be working. We just had 3 organizations join the network Saturday,
Mm-hmm.
and it's growing, and we're helping veterans, and we're also advocating for veterans legislation on top of that, and so
That's great. Yeah, that's good. You should look into the Veteran Service Alliance. It's an
yes.
organization which has
Mhm.
many nonprofits underneath it. It was stood up under the Trump administration through domestic policy or requests, and then ultimately decided to be a nonprofit. They've got a lot of great organizations with so many resources. And the way that they're developing is incredible. I happen to be the chairman of that nonprofit, but someone will receive the talking stick later on. But I
Mhm.
was honored to be able to stand that up under the Trump administration. But it might be something that you should look into because it's got
Yes.
a lot of nonprofits with a lot of different organizations, from medical care to homelessness to even 1 year places for warriors to get back on their feet over in a ranch in Virginia. It's awesome. They get their own little home, a second shot, to counseling, to faith and fitness, to all sorts of stuff. Just throwing it out there. The veteranservicealliance.org. Highly
Oh, yes.
recommend it. It's good. Yeah, it's great. Because I think what you just said though is super important. What you just shared. The reason why you stood up the org that that you have now is because you wanted to provide opportunity, options. Kind of frustrates me in our organization, SOF Missions. We serve everyone, predominantly post 9/11, just because, those are my people, but we help out Vietnam era veterans. We help out Bosnia veterans. We help out veterans that never deployed that are dealing with some struggles because, especially females, we have an all female program because they are the, silent minority. And
Yes.
there's not a lot of programs for females at all. And even in our organization, we're spreading our wings to be caregivers, God willing, by next summer.
Mhm.
But, there's 1.5 million veterans in Florida, 20 million in America. There's not enough money, not enough slots, not enough clinics, not enough retreats for all of
Right.
them. But I'm hoping and praying that we continue to grow so that we can be that part of that, a greater part of the solution.
Well, we started what we call Rally Against Suicide. We hold it every September,
Okay.
and we just had our second one last year.
Mm-hmm.
And researching uh, to bring more updated information to the community, I noticed that female veteran suicide is the fastest rising group as far as veterans is concerned. And the research that I went through and the information that I got was that 50% of the women that are veterans that are attempting suicide is because of sexual trauma that they encountered while on active duty. And then 10% of those women are pregnant.
Hmm. Hmm. So I'm going to tell you right now that when we were starting our medical clinics, so in our organization, we have 3 things. One, we've got, it's a Be Resilient, right? Be Resilient program, Be Resilient training. That's the education. Be Resilient retreats, the retreats, right?
Yep.
And they come in different flavors. And then the Be Resilient clinics, medical nature. And that's kind of our primary deliverable. And then everything else is because you don't need the medical clinic, right? So when we were shaping the female clinic, we had to change a lot specifically for them because we were finding that the largest, a major, like, I don't want to say it is definitely the majority, not all, but 8, 9 out of 10 have experienced sexual trauma, and they have been unable to reconcile it. There's how many programs are out there, to help out females? Most of the programs could be co-ed, but I would tell you that now doing this for so long, that the reality is that the ladies have experienced a significant, different trauma, and we need to address it. We need to respect it. It's not a cookie cutter thing, and most of what we do is concierge anyway. Every veteran that comes in, we get a very specific mental health provider. We might bring in certain physicians specifically for that person because every need is different. We're not all the same. Like the issues that you struggle with, Tim, they're different than mine. Trauma's trauma, though. Trauma's trauma, and we're just trying to figure out how to become productive members of society and make sure that our existence is meaningful.
Hey, I hear you there. Now, you mentioned that you've been struggling with your demons, just as I have, and my brother Dennis, who took his own life 25 years ago, struggled too. When did you realize that forming your nonprofit would be the route for you to help battle your demons?
Yeah. So, in special operations, we have a very unique paradigm. I believe that special operators, multi-million-dollar weapons, they have. I think the military is wise to establish programs so that we can be more resilient. And what I mean by that is nothing's worse than spending millions of dollars on an operator. They deploy, they do incredible things. I mean, and incredible things like what people game as in Call of Duty or Halo, right? Like that's what special operators do. And then they come back and they're banged up. Some are blown up, some are shot, some are, the reverberation, mild traumatic brain injury. Like so you can't mass produce special operators. And so they spent a lot of money called POTF, Preservation on the Force and Family. And there were other programs called the Intrepid Center that predominantly are for special operators, and it's about brain health. All the bombs shaking, our brains, they'll shake, and it's a completely different treatment and modality than PTSD. This is physiological in nature. It's cognitive. And then along with everything else that's physical, and so they help kind of package up our boys, and women. They're women in special operators too, in special operations. And then we would redeploy. And so I thought to myself, as many times as I would come home, get patched up, and then redeploy, I thought to myself, well, how cool would it be if we can provide this for conventional forces? So we start off with special operators, and then I thought to myself, what do my Marines? I start off in the Marine Corps. My Marines in Fallujah, soldiers in Marcia, am I more important than them? No, I'm not. I'm a human. We're all equal. We all have our own superpowers, our gifts, and it's our responsibility to identify them and use them to change the world for good. So I will tell you, my devil dog deserves the same level of care that I do. And so I realized that was not practical. It wasn't going to happen. And so I thought to myself, how cool would it be if I could establish this nonprofit, and then establish, a tip of the spear program, and then open it up to all veterans. And that's what we did. So that's our niche. The reality is, like, in one day, you see the head physician, which is an Intrepid Center physician. Okay. You see the strength conditioning coach, the nutritionist, the physical therapist, the acupuncturist, massage therapy, chiropractor. Then you see the spiritual mentor. I mean, you see all that. Unless you have money, unless you're an NFL athlete, unless you got cash, then you're never going to get this level of care. And I'm not trying to poo-poo on anybody. There are programs out there within the government, but there's a lot of bureaucracy. I just wrote an article on that recently. I mean, the bureaucracy is terrible. There's a lot of money being funded, but where's the money go? And you start trickling in. So for us, speed is key. You've got, the VA. I know some really great leaders in the VA, and they're passionate about our warriors. They really are. But not every VA center or VA hospital is good. And that's the reality. I mean, all you got to do is look at the customer reviews. And I'm honored to be at the top. I would say the top. Haley's Hospital, right around the corner. This is where I spent 3 months inpatient. They're awesome. They treat their veterans great. Their programs are great. But even then, there's still a wait time. And I just think that if I can provide something that's fast and furious, and I can solve problems holistically, just think about it. It's the Mayo Clinic model. Every physician, like if you were to come, Tim, you would see all these physicians, and at the end of the day, we're talking about Tim. And we're putting it all together. And by the 5th day, it's only 1 week intensive, 7 in the morning, 7 in the evening, every day. You're going to be doing something, and we're going to be figuring out where your bad guys are. It's like a house. As a special operators, I go in, we breach in through that front door. Now we're in this house called Tim. Then we're going to go in and we're going to go to the first room to the left. That's a psych house. Then the psych room, and then the physical room, and then the cognitive room, then the social room, and the spiritual. And eventually we figure out what's slowly killing Tim, right? And then we all discuss this. And then after 5 days, I got 20 to 30 practitioners, and like, this is what Tim needs moving forward. And then we provide all that care 1 complete year for free. Everything's free that we're doing. So we've raised about $10 million. We need hundreds of millions of dollars more, right? But we're kind of having a coming out party now this last year and this year, and we're letting people know every one of our clinics have been full. So people need to apply and get ahead of the ball game. A lot of times there'll always be one veteran that kind of steps back for maybe they get afraid, maybe they don't want to face their demons, they're not ready, or something unfortunate will happen. So there's a backup list, So anyway, that's what we do. It's holistic care. And I really believe that you're never going to solve the suicide epidemic until you understand humans holistically. I wrote another article called, Talk Therapy's Killing Our Veterans. Just think about how many years veterans are doing the same thing. If it's therapy, aren't you supposed to heal? Or isn't your life supposed to be better? If in fact you're getting a customer reviews like, man, it's 10 years ago and I'm worse off today than ever. And I'm not talking about a bad day. I'm talking about my life in general, right? It sucks more, right? Like it stinks more. Well, for us, no matter what, you're going to have your bad guys. But the cool thing about it, and the most important thing is that you understand your symptoms, you understand the core issue, the symptoms, and we've been empowering you to apply the right treatment and modality. There's no excuse when you leave our clinic. We're like, this is how you become, your Captain America again. All right. This is how you become the Avenger again, that down deep inside, you are who you were when you signed on the bottom line. Be the Avenger again. Be the best version of yourself. There's no reason why you're not, back in the game physically. There's no reason why you're not eating healthier. There's no reason why you're not feeling stronger. There's no reason why you can't reengage in a relationship. If you're divorced and you still love your wife, be the best version of yourself and go after her, man, because you're a winner. Okay. If you don't have a relationship with your kids, be the best version of yourself. Trust me, every son, every daughter wants a relationship with their parents. They really do. They just don't want the baggage that comes along with it that we were unable to handle, right? They want love. They want relationships. They want hugs. They want meaning. They want words of affirmation. And I'm just speaking from personal experience. I was not my best. I brought the war home many, many a times. I'm lucky I'm still married, to be completely honest with you. So yeah, holistic care is where it's at. If you want to stop the suicide epidemic, you can't just create awareness, my brother. You have to provide solutions. And we believe at SOF Missions, we served thousands and thousands of veterans in the kind of what we call inpatient care, over 300. That's at any one time, we've got 80 to 100 people and 80 to 100 warriors that we're taking care of, for a year. A year, that's a lot, right? That's a lot of resources, a lot of time, a lot of energy. And we just figured we're going to save one life at a time. That's what we've been doing. And to this day, by God's grace, I don't have to knock on no wood. We have 0 suicides, and we believe that we have the solution. We've got the recipe to win.
All right. Yeah. Now, there's one question I've been wanting to ask you ever since your staff sent your information over. There's an article that I read that most TBIs and service members are created by our own weapons. That when they fire off that cannon, or if they fire off certain caliber guns, it's actually giving them TBIs.
That's right. Yeah. It's synonymous with concussions. If you're in a gunfight, you don't have your protection. You have no idea what you're doing to your brain, especially a rifle and a pistol. Yeah, man, you start getting a squad automatic, a saw, right? You get into a 240 Bravo with the 7.62 round. You get into the Mongoose, the 50 cal, right? It's more than deafening, man. Just the echo, just the vibration of that machine is going to give you a concussion, and then you just do it over and over and over again. And Unfortunately, I've been surrounded by so much, weaponry. When you talk about mortars and you talk about artillery,
Hmm.
woo, that's a different ballgame, man. A lot of dudes with that were in the arty community. Man, I was surrounded by some. They're just like this. What are you doing, bro?
Right.
Seriously? Oh man. And then or they get those little foamies. Get out of
Oh yeah,
here.
those
They're not
foamies never
doing
help.
nothing. You got a 105 howitzer, you got a 155 howitzer, your brain's cooked, baby. And then
Yep.
you pulling that cannon. So the answer is yes, that's true. And a lot of them are they occur in training. And so that's why the signature injury of the war is not PTSD. It's mild traumatic brain injury. Lots of research out there. It's surfaced. I'll tell you, when I was needing help, yeah, I mean, I'm a high functioning person. I do have PTSD, and I don't know why people kind of come back and go, "There's no such thing as a disorder." I don't. Well, there's no such thing of what you're talking about, because it is a disorder, and it's the ramifications of the experiences that you've had psychologically. I still have PTSD, but that's not what was killing me. It was mild traumatic brain injury. You wake up and you have blurred vision, headaches, sensitivity to light. You should see the lighting system I have here. It's kind of like bubbled, so it doesn't like give me a headache. And there's just so many more other things that I struggle with. But man, you bring a lot of pain, the inflammation in the brain and just the body, and then plus you throw in those flashbacks, you throw in those bad dreams, that anxiety that you have,
Oh
that you
yeah.
experienced when there was a suicide bomber, in the midst of and you didn't know where that was at. I mean, it compounds. But as you mentioned, 100% mild traumatic brain injury, synonymous with concussions. Absolutely, it's true.
I'm trying to remember this soldier's name.
Hmm.
He took his own life not too long ago, and his suicide note was a stack of reference books that covered PTSD, traumatic brain injury, um, and some other medical issues that he thought he was suffering from, but he couldn't get the help that he needed. And in the note that was attached to the books, it said that he had become somebody that he was afraid of, and that's why he took his own life. Um, I'm hoping that that suicide note wakes other veterans up and just come to the reality that, hey, I need help, and not be afraid to ask for it. Now, how do veterans come to you? Is it through their family? Their family says, hey, either you go to this program or else, or do they just come straight out and say, hey, I need help?
Yeah. So three things. One is I want to kind of go back to the general, the warrior that took his life. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That he's become someone that wasn't him, basically a monster. I hear this all the time. I want to just say, for anybody who's listening in this podcast, I'm going to tell you right now, I've struggled with suicidal ideation since I was a kid. I was abused. I had a terrible biological father. I still miss him, still want to have a relationship with him, but it requires forgiveness. So I keep forgiving him, and also requires repentance. And unless you admit what you did wrong to to the people around us, my mother, my brother, myself, it's hard to continuously forgive, or at least allow this person to be in your life. I say this monster thing because suicide is the most selfish thing that any human can do. I've thought about it in my darkest and deepest times. I've had that Glock on my lap, loaded in the dark, drinking bourbon or whatever it is, too much for that evening, and just going through a hard time, maybe really feeling guilty, shame. Um, I shared that you bring the war home, and you're a terrible person. You are a monster. Well, back in 2010, I came back from, I would say, my mission of a lifetime, and literally just a week ago, I can't really recall. I'm losing time, but even
Mm-hmm.
just a couple weeks, you come back from extensive combat, right? And then you come home and then you're in the living room with your kids and your spouse. How are you supposed to be normal?
Right.
It's so dumb. Some people's like, it's like, I don't understand, whatever he did out there. But when he's home, he needs to be a father and a husband. Do you even know what you're talking about? It's
No.
like, when somebody gets shot in the head and brain matters all over the wall. You tell me that you're going to be normal. You're not going to be normal. You're never going to. I remember the first dead body I ever saw during the invasion. Bad guy there, brain matter coming out of his ears. That's a not like that. I still dream of that.
Yeah.
Right. And I can go into 100 stories of things I've seen. So I'm going to tell you though, yeah, you become a monster. You allow that monster to take control. 8 billion people in the whole world. The God of the universe has a plan for everybody in this world. And I have a deep faith because when you stare the devil in his face, when it's possible you ain't coming home, because somebody's not coming home in a gunfight.
Right.
Somebody's not coming home. Right. And I've been grateful. I have all the conflict, all the combat deployments. I've been able to come home. Somebody's not coming home. There are no atheists in foxholes. And I believe that God has a plan for everybody. And whoever this gentleman is, one guy that broke my heart, some soft guy, took his life, left 3 girls, 3 daughters. Let me ask you a question, Tim.
Mm-hmm.
Who's going to walk those girls down the aisle, huh? It's like you telling me that the world's better now that you're gone. You tell those 3 girls because they do anything to have their daddy.
That's right.
So I have to remind myself because the devil likes to creep up, man, like a sniper. And when things are not going well, he's got that scope. He's got that crosshair. He knows exactly when to pull that trigger, bro. So I say that for all the people out there. You know what? We live in America, and there are a lot of people that love you. This is Veterans Day. How many people are going to tell you thank you for your service?
That's right.
And, and it's important to have not only the courage to sign on the bottom line, be a part of the unit, join the military, but you also have to have the courage to get the help that you need when you need it. Right. SOF Missions is there. Go to the Veteran Service Alliance. You got the Warrior's Journey. You got Reboot. You got the National Center for Healthy Veterans. You got Faith RX. You got Eagle Rock. Like, we got something for you, baby. And it's all free.
Yes.
Right? No excuses. Right? So you asked, how do people find us? Reputation, credibility. People know who I am. In many ways, I'm not saying I sacrificed my career for my passion, but there came a time when I could not be a nonprofit leader and a commander at the same time. I tried, but the system would not allow me to. Literally, times were like, you want to be a commander? You want to be a group commander? You want to be a future wing commander? Or do you want to be a nonprofit leader? My answer was, why can't I do both? There's a conflict of interest. It's not a conflict of interest. I wasn't making no money doing it. Right. But I have a reputation of caring for my veterans, my active duty. Because, to me, I kind of threw this meatball up on the wall and it splatted. You should hear all the generals that responded or senior leaders that said, there's a saying called mission first. People always. You've heard this before, right? Like, hey, you got to accomplish the mission first, but you always have to take care of people. After 20 years of war, I mean, dude, are you kidding me? Like, are we really taking care of our people? Because I remember having this fight with my leadership. I'm like, I've already been gone 2 Christmases, 2 Thanksgivings. I missed like 3 anniversaries. I don't even know how many birthdays with my kids and my wife and everything. I can't go again. I just missed it last. Oh no, you got to go. And it was a war. We're not products, man. We're people. And so I flipped the switch and I said, what if we said people first? Mission always. If we always put people first, the mission is always going to be taken care of.
Yes.
Anyway, I'm going to get off my soapbox on that one, bro.
Now, one thing that gets me is when, somebody will ask me what I went through and I try to explain it to them. Then they says, what really irks me is when they go, you did what you had to do. I don't know why that irks me so much, but it does. Especially from those who were never even in the military. You did what you had to do. Did I? I started questioning it. And I can't come up with an answer for that. Did I do what I had to do? Did I do what I was supposed to do? or did I do because of what somebody else did? And that's usually the answer that I come up with, is I did what I did because of what somebody else did.
It's interesting. When you said that, when somebody says, well, you did what you had to do. Yeah, you're right. I did what I had to do, but also I did it by choice. Okay. And I think that's why there's moral injury when bad leaders lead their people and make bad decisions, right? We believe in America, Tim. I am an American and I am a patriot. And I live as a patriot. I fight as a patriot and I'm going to die as one. And I'm going to tell you something, Tim, and I know you'd agree. I know the majority of your audience is going to agree. I've been all over the world, brother, and I have never seen such freedoms in any country. Our forefathers, when they established this great nation, it's destined to be the greatest. And it cost over 1 million lives. The blood shed, the death, the body bags. Over 1 million have not come home because of it. I'm going to tell you right now, I did what I had to do because A, I love America. B, I chose. I wasn't drafted. I signed on that bottom line. I love America. America was always there for me. Since I was a kid from downtown Los Angeles with no name, no money, no legacy, nothing. We lived in the projects. I lived in 14 different places in the first 12 years of my life in downtown LA and all over like vagabonds. My country was there for me. I could be the first person to come up with 1,000 reasons, why I never made it. But one day I woke up and I said, well, I have the same 1,000 reasons why I should. And I have. I love America. It's a choice. Everything I did, even the war, even the combat, every time I prosecuted a target, man, I know the pain of combat. And you know what? I'm honored that I served. Am I proud of everything I've done? No. And no one is. There's no such thing as a perfect resume, bro.
Exactly.
The fog of war, sometimes you don't even know what's going on. And you got to do what you have to do. But I understand what you mean by that, because I think what may irk you is that they don't really understand the sacrifice, what was really required. It's like so easy. It's almost like, can I ask you a question, Tim? How do you personally feel when somebody says, thank you for your service on Veterans Day?
At first, it made me feel good. Now, to be honest with you, sometimes it feels as though it's forced. That thank you's forced.
Yeah. Well, I wrote an article just recently and about, hey man, why don't, instead of just saying thank you for my service, why don't you show me? Because I think I called it an empty gesture. I started jiu-jitsu. This is my new decade commitment. Jiu-jitsu. I'm getting older. I gotta be in the fight somewhere, man. Okay. I can't jump anymore or dive. I mean, I could jump and dive and shoot, but that was all free. Okay. Big boys with big toys, right?
Yes.
So jiu-jitsu is my new jam. And I had a chance to get in front of all the students and they know who I am and what I've done and what I've sacrificed. I said, I want to tell you guys something. There are two things I want to share. One is, first of all, don't tell anybody, I almost served, because you didn't.
Right.
I hate it when people say you didn't serve.
Yeah.
And you know what's even worse? They give you this long dissertation of why. Like, I care. I don't care. All I know is that I've got 20 million veterans that did. And they, and I'm there to help them. And the second thing is, when you say thank you, show them. Be involved. Donate to a nonprofit that's doing great work. If you see a devil dog, man, and his family, or a soldier, or even that old timer wearing his hat, man, USS whatever, Roosevelt, I don't know, buy that person some dinner or lunch, man. And show them that you appreciate. Because I always think it's so easy to say, thank you for your service. Do you really mean it? And I think, like you, I was like, that feels good. But then after a while, you don't really see a lot of Americans involved in helping veterans. And I think that's what irks me. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes, it does. It's you hit it right on the button as far as show it. If you say it, show it. if you mean it, show that you actually do mean it. And like you said too, when they say, well, I almost served. Well, why didn't you? And one of the things that I started many years ago was a lot of old high school friends were finding out what I was going through and what I was doing, trying to get laws passed and everything. They too were saying, well, thank you for your service, right? I said, well, help me. Get me in contact with veterans that you know. But they wouldn't do that. Well, they're not going to want to help you with this. They don't think you guys need laws to get your benefits and stuff. How do you know you didn't serve? And I think that's where our suicide prevention program at my nonprofit is aimed at. We're not, well, you'll admit most nonprofits that state that they are trying to prevent veteran suicide, they aim all their promotions towards the veteran themselves. You'll admit we are the most stubborn group of Americans there's ever been. We're stubborn as hell. We don't admit when we need help. We don't admit, we don't even talk about our service much. My wife still doesn't know everything that I've done while I was in the military. So we direct all our information towards the family and the community that the veteran lives in. Besides our battles, who do we trust the most? Our family. So if my family came to me and says, hey, you need help, and they give me tough love, chances are I'm going to listen to them. If a stranger comes up to me and says, dude, you need help, I'm blowing them off. They don't know what they're talking about. But if my family comes to me, because they're the ones I trust the most, they're the ones I love, they're also the ones I'm hurting the most.
That's right.
So if they come to me and say, hey, you need to get help, boom, chances are that veteran's going to go get help. So hopefully we can kind of join forces on this. If we get veteran coming to us saying, hey, I need help, boom, I can say, hey, this is a program that's been proven to work. Especially if they say, hey, I don't trust the VA. And a lot of veterans don't. Even though there's this awesome law that went into effect January 17th of 2023. It's called the Compact Act. Have you ever heard of that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm finding that a lot of people have never heard of it. I just did a resource fair Saturday, and they were raising money to get service dogs for veterans. It was through a American Legion, local American Legion post, and not one veteran in that Legion knew about that law. And they're like, well, what is it? Well, even if you're not in the VA system, folks, if you are suicidal and you think you're going to take your life, you can go to any ER in the country, and your health care for that, it's paid for. You don't have to worry about it. It's paid for. And people say, well, who's this program through? The VA. Oh, I don't trust the VA. They're trying. They're trying to make change. And this law, which pretty much as soon as the PACT Act passed, this law passed as well. Unfortunately, it takes a while for them to go into effect, but on January 17th, 2023, it went into effect. But if a veteran is still unsure or untrusting of the VA, now I know there is a program out there, which is yours, that we can say, hey, here's a proven program. If you don't trust the VA, let's get you over to these folks. And now, as far as what's one, besides traumatic brain injuries being one of the leading causes of reasons why veterans are taking their own lives, what are other reasons that you see or hear on why veterans are taking their lives or
Moral
attempting to
injury.
take
Moral injury.
moral injury?
Hands
Yeah.
down. It's a new concept. It's always been around, or it's been around the whole time. Moral injury is, violation of leadership, violation of trust, and and the VA has its own definition. The DoD has theirs. We really embrace this as more of a spiritual component. People are having an existentialistic crisis. It's kind of like this, just to put it in kind of like everyday terms. You'd be very surprised when, let's just say, you're driving down the road and you look down your phone, just for a split second, right? Just a split second. Maybe our eyes are not as sharp as they used to. You can't see, you don't have your glasses on, or maybe you're taking out your glasses, put it on, and all of a sudden you look up and, whatever, some kid in front of you is probably texting and driving, and then got up and then literally hit somebody, and there's not enough distance between you and the person in front of you. You hit them, and for whatever reason, your buddy on the passenger side goes through the window. It happens. It happens. And you bang your head, and then you wake up. Well, you find out that that your buddy died, and you're the survivor, and you've got massive TBI, and you've literally just experienced a traumatic experience. And so psychologically, this post-traumatic stress is like you're having nightmares and flashbacks, like you remember that thing, and wow. And then all of a sudden you're in that bed and you look up and you go, why? Why did you allow this to happen? This is different. And this is a different realm. Trauma is being processed psychologically, PTSD, physically, cognitively, mild traumatic brain injury, and spiritually. And that is, I love quoting Richard Glickstein, good friend of mine, legislator up in Capitol. And he said, moral injury is a blunt trauma to the soul. And I was like, whoa, that's so powerful, man. It really is so powerful. Humans, the Department of Defense and the VA, and we also recognize humans as mind, body, and soul. We do. And moral injury. And you have to understand the symptoms of moral injury. They're different than PTSD and mild traumatic brain injury, but a lot of them are synonymous. So that's why it's very important that you understand where the trauma really is. That's another reason why, this whole talk therapy is killing veterans. It's like, why is it that you have all these veterans and all that you're just talking them to death? Have you thought about the moral injury? Have you thought about the mild traumatic brain injury? Have you thought about all the other variables involved where trauma is being processed? Because there are different domains and there are different treatments and different modalities for each. Moral injury. That's why I'm telling you, brother, that I just don't know how anyone can be healthy unless spiritually they understand their purpose in life. I mean, think about it. We're on this earth for how long? How long are you on this earth? You die and then you're gone. I mean, you're gone. Where do you go, bro? Where? Right? And we're beings, man. And I just think, my faith was instrumental in keeping me alive. And, and it's something that I can't really explain much, but man, I just felt the presence of God. This isn't religion. It's not. This is about a relationship. And I developed a relationship with God, and God has walked me along the way. And he shouldered me when I could not, go farther. And he was there in the midst when I was about to blow my head off, man. He was there. And I remember him pressing upon my heart saying, I have great plans for you. Plans to win and persevere, not to lose, not for evil. Trust me. And how do you explain that part? Where in, treatment, where can we find that in treatment? I remember seeing my psychologist, phenomenal. And I started asking questions that were spiritual. I'm like, why would this happen? Why would God? And unfortunately, I didn't get the support that I needed spiritually. That's another reason why our program is psychological, physical, social, cognitive, and spiritual. You know why? Because it's a real variable, bro. And this isn't about religion. This is about the fact that there's 8 billion people in the whole world. We all live, we all die. And while we're here, we need to, one, understand our purpose, and two, be resilient so that we can live out our purpose. That's why our mission statement is to empower warriors to find purpose and be resilient.
Well put. Well put. Now, I have been super busy this past week, so unfortunately, I did not make up a slide. But how can people contact you?
Easy. Go to sofmissions.org. S like Sierra, Oscar, Foxtrot, missions.org. sofmissions.org. If you're looking for medical care, if you're looking for treatment, if you're looking for, resources, we have a ton. And we're also part of the Veteran Service Alliance.org. So check us out, sofmissions.org. We're saving lives every single day. It's SOF as in Foxtrot.
S-O-F.
And and then missions with an S. So it's Shield of Faith Missions, sofmissions.org. Yeah, we'll get that up there. And then for anybody out there who's looking to follow me, it's easy. Just go to Dr. Damon Friedman on all social media platforms, all of them, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. There are a lot of people that want to follow. I do a lot of leadership. That's it, bro. That's it. sofmissions.org. I do a lot of leadership development and travel all over the country. I'm with Premier Speakers Bureau. Excited to share my story, but more importantly, create awareness of the organization that I run to save veterans, because that's what I do on my platforms.
All right. Yep. Hey, it was an honor having you on, Doctor.
Yep.
Been wanting to say Colonel, but no, it's Doctor. You've earned that, man.
Yeah, it's all good. I mean, you call me Damon. All those all of that, the rank and the whatever. It's just a lot. It gives me the mic in certain rooms, and I'm grateful to have it.
There you go. And for all you veterans out there who are dealing with, I know you're all dealing with some sort of demon or another. Look, let's end the stigma. Ask for help. If you're too proud or too stubborn to ask for help, hopefully your family forces you to. Not that forcing you to do something is good for you, but sooner or later you're going to wake up and say, hey, they're right. I need help. If you're watching this and you're thinking about taking your own life, please don't. And the thing about this is, and I think you might agree with me, Doctor, is us veterans need to look after each other better than we've been. We need to put all our political differences to the side. We need to wake up to the fact that when we separated from the service, we became a member of the largest fraternity in this country called Veterans of United States of America. We're supposed to have each other's six. We promised each other that whatever unit we were in, we promised each other that we would have each other's six. When you became a member of Veterans of the United States of America, that promise continued on to every single veteran in this country.
I like it.
So let's help each other. Look after each other. Call your battle today.
That's right.
Today. Call your battle today and say, hey, are you okay? All right, folks. Next week, we're going to have on a nonprofit that helps homeless veterans. And then the week after that, we're going to have on retired Army Colonel Lisa Furman on to discuss her book about sexual trauma in the military. And we'll go from there. And Doctor, if you can stay on for just one moment when we go off the air.
Yeah.
All right, folks. All the links that we mentioned will be in the description. especially for you folks who will be listening to this on Apple, Spotify, and Amazon later on tonight. And for those of you watching on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram right now, the description will be in the all the links will be in the description. So you just click on them, take you right to them.
Mhm.
All right, and we'll see you all next week.
Godspeed. Thank you for having me, brother.
Thank you for coming.